Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Jonathan Jin with your podcast host, The Jonathan Jin. Today is there's going to be a special episode because today is Earth Day, April 22nd, 2025. Did you know that Earth Day has been going on since the 1970s, as early as 1970, to bring awareness about pollution, about the harm that has been caused to the earth due to industrialization, pollution, and other substances and particles. So today's a special episode because I will be going over several topics and subjects, including that of, the first subject is going to be about regulation, such as the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, versus the idea that, perhaps I'm going to be debating myself whether or not less regulation or more regulation is a good idea for promoting the concepts of protecting the earth. So since 1970, the EPA, as the Environmental Protection Agency, has been espousing ideas such as the hole in the ozone layer, before it was called global warming, and now these days it's called climate change, which those that are on the center left of the side of the aisle say that, because of industrialization, because of, all of these, businesses and actors in the economy are producing products and their services and have to use cars to drive these products around, that somehow we are, as a collective human race, we are causing harm to the earth because of the carbon dioxide that is being emitted from these cars and from cows, etc., etc. On the other hand, you hear from the center right that people that we are, the most productive we've ever been since industrialization, and that we need to continue to use nuclear power, that we need to continue to use coal, electricity, gasoline, cars, so that we can deliver the very things that we say that we are against, yet we are very, very for. Because, if you think about the average American consumer, is on his or her iPhone at a Starbucks, enjoying coffee that has been delivered from nations around the world. And I would say that that there's such great irony in that situation, because we claim to be against against the free market system, which in fact we benefit greatly from it because of the economy and the systems in place that we have, especially here in the West, in the United States. And do excuse me if I do try to explain this in Vietnamese, and do excuse me if I make it choppy, because I'm still learning the language and continuing every day to improve my conversational skills. Xin chào bạn. Hôm nay là cái ngày lễ trái đất, ngày trái đất, which means Earth Day, and it's a special day, cái ngày đặc biệt, tại vì mình coi trên nguyên cái đất là mình phải giúp đất làm sạch sẽ, không có dơ dái, không có làm uh, làm nhiều rác. Hey, what I said was we want to protect the earth. We want to make it clean. We don't want to have too much waste, and we don't want to mistreat the earth and the land that we live on. I would say that because we're on the topic of the EPA and climate change versus regulation or deregulation or more regulation, that in my opinion, I won't give you my opinion, but I will give you some of the details on both sides of the aisle so that you can decide for yourself whether you want to work with more regulation for the individual and for the businesses, or with less regulation, and perhaps even promoting the idea of self-regulation through early education of the consumer in America and the rest of the world. I heard that in Japan, the way that the Japanese treat the land that they live on, and the way that they teach their youth, is to be very respectful of the land that they live on, and to be very resourceful, to teach the children how to cook their own meals at home and at school. And the students are just a little bit more socially aware than the average consumer here in the West. And it's not to downplay the efforts of the many organizations and the teachers and the educators, but something is amiss here in the United States. And you can tell by the way that every time that you get off the freeway, every time that you cross the road, every time you see that litter is waiting outside of the litter box or the trash can, it's literally 5 steps away from the trash can, and then you see litter on the floor, and it's more often than not, it's just a genuine, unappreciative of the land that we live on. And I'll do my best to speak in Vietnamese to explain what that means. Trong tiếng Việt là Tuấn thấy là ở bên nước Hoa Kỳ với nước Nhật Bản là hai cái nước là leading nations in the Western and Eastern Hemisphere. And Tuấn thấy là nước Nhật Bản dạy đứa nít phải thương đất, thương nước, với không có làm bài rác cho cái nước hay cái phòng hay trong public places, trong công ty. Như ở bên nước Hoa Kỳ hay nước Việt Nam, mình nói tiếng Việt là ích kỷ. That means in Vietnamese and the U.S., we're a little bit less careful. We're less. We attend with less care of how to treat the land that we live on, because we see that there's waste that is, in the freeways. People throw waste outside of the window while driving. It's just emotional intelligence and the social intelligence of treating the land that we live on with respect is it's there. I know it's there, but I think that we could be doing a better job at it, and perhaps seeing what we can learn from these Japanese students. Trong tiếng Việt là nước Hoa Kỳ với nước Việt Nam ích kỷ với bài rác ở bên nước cho nhiều rác bài bè. You không có thương nước. Mình nói giống như mình nói mình thương nước. It's like I'm saying that I love my country and I love my nation, but the actions show that I don't love my country. I don't love my nation. It's like you see that there's organizations such as in Ho Chi Minh City, in Saigon, that there's active efforts to reverse such proliferation of waste in the waterways from the goods from the food boxes and cans and bottles, plastic bottles. Saigon Sun is a leading organization in Vietnam to restore some of the beauty of the natural beauty and conservation of the land and waterways by ridding of the waste. And of course, we have the very same issues here in the West. It's not. I'm not here to embarrass any one nation. I'm not here to shame or point the finger at any one nation, because we're all responsible for some amount of waste in the industrialized world. Whether it's cardboard boxes, whether it's food rubbish, waste, recyclables that don't go recycled, or having to learn how to compost. I mean, it's easy for me to point the finger, but I haven't learned how to compost just yet either. And tiếng Việt là nói là mình ở bên nước Việt Nam mình biết bỏ rác cho bỏ mà không chưa hiểu recycling là cái gì, hay chưa hiểu. I mean, of course there are efforts to do that in recycling, and such as glass bottles from beverages that are continually recycled and reused in the restaurant business. But we, seeing that such food substances that food and food substances and beverages that are served in plastic bottles and plastic bags, and then carelessly being thrown away into the waterways because there's no landfill nearby, that speaks very loudly about how we treat the nation that we say that we love. And once again in Vietnamese, I'll just say that mình nói mình thương nước, mà cái actions, cái cách mình bỏ rác trong trong nước, trong mình không có làm kỹ cho rửa đồ nhựa với đồ how do you say glass, đồ mũ, là giống như mình không có nói mình không có nói sự thật. It's like we're not truthfully saying that we love our nation. So I want people in our nation, both in the United States, in the West, both in Vietnam, to mean what they say by saying that they care about the future of the children and their grandchildren. In Vietnamese that means mình thương nước là mình thương đứa con của gia đình của mình, như mình thương cháu mấy năm sau của gia đình của đứa con mình. We have to think about the future of not only our futures, but the future of our children, the future of our grandchildren, and the future that they have to live with, based on the way that we treat the land, the way we do currently. So, and upon hearing this information, you might be saying, okay, we need more regulation, we need more regulations, and we need to this is obviously going to change the environment. This is going to impact climate change, and the first reactionary thing to do is to have more regulations. Because more regulations of against rubbish and waste and proliferation of waste is magically going to change behavior. And that may or may not be the truth. I I know that there are good intentions behind it. We know that there are good intentions behind it. Giống như mình muốn thêm cái luật, mình muốn bỏ thêm luật trong nước cho chính phủ nói là mình cần thêm luật cho bớt rác, bớt bớt dơ, bớt ở dơ, bớt less of the waste and rubbish. However, it's through I strongly believe that it's through education of our choices, of our options, and not just through regulation, because you can change the regulation and people will sometimes ignore the laws. People, whether it's the malicious, I'm not saying that all companies are malicious or all nonprofits are malicious. I'm saying that there may be one or two malicious organizations, companies, or nonprofits in the greater pool of companies and organizations and nonprofits that do irreversible harm to the environment, and that make the rest of the companies look terrible. They make them look bad. They make the organizations and we know that the few cannot speak for the many. Giống như tiếng Việt, Tuấn nói là mấy cái công ty như làm việc như non-profit, 501c3, thường thường mình có trong một công ty or một cái việc làm tuân tụng của cái nước cho cái nước hay cái thành phố cho dơ dái hay nhiều đồ rác, mà mình nói là nguyên cái đám của công ty như làm việc là làm bậy hay cho cái nước. And we know that that's not true. That's không phải sự thật. Because I think I want to believe that the direction that many companies are going is they're going the route of being socially responsible, and I want to believe that. There is evidence towards that because companies such as Apple, for example, years ago, before electronic recycling was a thing, much of the outdated and outmoded electronics are sent to third world countries, even though they say that this material will be recycled. And the materials get into the wastewater and into the rain runoff and all that, and it gets into the water, and it causes irreversible harm to the people as well, because there are contaminants. But I think companies such as Apple, such as the Ocean Cleanup, they're doing visible work in how they go about recycling and showing their clients, showing their consumers that they do recycle and they do stick to their word about recycling, these materials such as aluminum, such as lead, solder, such as FR4 PCBs, glass. I literally saw a video of an iPhone being shredded into its basic elements back again, because it was an outmoded or outdated device. And you have to we have to follow not just the words but the actions of what these companies are doing, um, because it's so easy to just put out a statement that says that, yeah, we're a green we're a green company, we're whatnot, just uh, uh, for the sake of saying it. But it takes the journalists, the citizen journalists, the investigative journalists to do the work of interviewing these companies and seeing what kind of practices that they do, or organizations or nonprofits. Um, yeah, and got- you know, I, as for the EPA, I have a generally positive view of the EPA. I had one experience in the past with Greenpeace that was a little bit more excessive and on the aggressive side. They're that I know that they mean to do good things for the planet, and to do good, and to protect the earth, and to protect wildlife and plants and animals. But the way that they go about it sometimes can be overly aggressive, and that's what turns some people away and turns some people off from organizations such as Greenpeace. And not to put them in the spotlight or anything, but I'm sure that they've done good things and good work in the past as well. But uh, some of these organizations get a bad rap for being overly aggressive, or uh, too extra, or uh, I don't know. You didn't hear that from me though. So, but yeah. Once again, I am a big proponent of education in the practices, in observing and watching the way that nations such as Japan, how they teach their youth about waste management and cooking. Hopefully not in the same lesson plan, but how to compost, and how to recycle, how to manage landfill waste, how to um, how to work with that, and instill the social responsibility and social intelligence, and um, you know and I know that we have the capabilities here, because this is the United States. We're the leading nation in the world. But sometimes the lesson plans, perhaps they don't go through, or the students miss a day from class. I mean, obviously the Japan is a homogenous society. The United States is more of a diverse melting pot of various different cultures. So not that I'm saying that it's anything that has to do with culture, but I think it's easier to teach a homogenous society how to respectfully go about removing waste, than to teach a cultural melting pot, or a diverse society, because not everyone speaks the same language. Sometimes there's a language barrier. Sometimes there's a cultural barrier. Sometimes there's just what have you. I can't pinpoint to what it is exactly. But anyway, today is Earth Day. Today is a special episode. I wanted to record this on the Shure SM7 microphone and my handy dandy Universal Audio and my favorite laptop, of course. So yeah, we're going to be taking a break. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll be right back.